Hi guys, in this video we discuss Lieutenant Colonel Sher Thapa, the Tiger of Skardu. We are discussing him with the help of this article written by Colonel Dilbag Dabas retired, who was a gunner in the 6th Field Regiment. I'll be reading out excerpts from his article because it discusses his action specifically during the days of the dark and heinous war crimes that were being committed by Pakistan and the Muslim terrorists of the Kashmir army under Maharaja Hari Singh. So Maharaja Hari Singh wasn't telling them to be terrorists, but they just became terrorists. They chose Pakistan and murdered their brothers in arms, people of their own battalions. If you want the full context of the situation and how the betrayal of the Muslim soldiers of the Maharaja's army unfolded, check out my video on the topic I just released today. So, Sher Thapa was born on June 18, 1908 at Abbottabad in present-day Pakistan. His parents, simple Gurkhas that they were, relocated to McLeodganj near Dharamshala in the present-day Himachal Pradesh, long before the two-nation theory was even conceived by the Congress and the Muslim League. Following the footsteps of his ancestors, Sher Jung too, by choice, preferred to be a soldier. His loyalty to the state of Kashmir and the capability to command and lead the men did not go unnoticed. Sher Jung was commissioned into the 6th Battalion of the Jammu and Kashmir Infantry on August 16, 1932. By the time partition happened, Sher Jung, as a lieutenant colonel, was commanding the battalion he was commissioned into. At the time of partition, almost half of India was ruled by the princely states, the native allies of the British. By July 25, 1947, all princely states had acceded to the new dominion of India, barring Hyderabad and Kashmir, because their rulers thought that their state was too big and they could exist independently. Taking advantage of the wavering stand of Maharaja of Kashmir, Pakistan, in connivance with the British officers who chose to stay back and serve with the Pakistan army, planned the annexation of the state of Kashmir. The execution of Pakistan's ambitious plan began in August 1947, and by the time the Maharaja signed the instrument of accession to Indian dominion on October 26, 1947, the Pakistan army in the garb of tribal Lashkars reached Baramulla, and Srinagar, the state capital, was not far off. In August 1947, at the time of invasion of Jammu and Kashmir by the Pakistani Lashkars, the entire northern frontier of Jammu and Kashmir state from Bunji to Leh, approximately 200 miles, excluding the place called Gilgit Agency, was manned by the 6th Battalion of Jammu and Kashmir Infantry Regiment, the 6th JNK. After the fall of Bunji in early November 1947, the battalion under Lieutenant Colonel Sher Thapa's command was ordered to move to Skardu with as many troops as possible. On February 11, 1948, Skardu was attacked and surrounded by approximately 600 strong tribal Lashkars. The enemy's attack was beaten back by the 6th JNK under the determined leadership of Lieutenant Colonel Sher Thapa. Unable to capture the Skardu fort, the enemy laid siege to the fort, which continued for 6 months. Despite dwindling rations, ammunition, shortage of water, lack of medicines, heavy casualties and overwhelming odds, the enemy's repeated attempts to capture the fort were thwarted every time, inflicting heavy casualties on the enemy. It all happened under the dynamic, inspiring leadership of Lieutenant Colonel Sher Thapa. After going through the siege for long and when no help could be rendered from outside, Lieutenant Colonel Thapa was asked by Major General K.S. Thimaya, General Officer commanding the 19th Infantry Division, to surrender. Lieutenant Colonel Thapa, like a typical Gurkha, stoutly opposed the offer, and with total disregard for his personal safety, continued to hold on to the fort steadfastly. On the fateful day of August 14, 1948, the gallant survivors of the 6th JNK, utterly exhausted and on the verge of starvation, outnumbered 5-1, without ammunition, ration, and any hope of help from outside, had no alternative but to capitulate. This ended the siege of the Skardu fort, which had kept a superior army at bay for 6 months and 3 days. For his gallant action and inspirational leadership, Lieutenant Colonel Sher Thapa was awarded the Mahavir Chakra. After formal declaration of the ceasefire on the night of January 1, 1949, Lieutenant Colonel Sher Thapa and his men were repatriated to India. After the war with Pakistan ended in January 1949, the 6th JNK was redesignated as Jammu and Kashmir Militia and merged with the 14th Battalion, which fought the Chinese gallantly in the Ladakh sector during the 1962 India-China War. Thereafter, it was demobilized and the troops were absorbed into the Dogra infantry battalions. Sher Jung Thapa, the tiger of Skardu, the Mahavir, whom the sons of the soil affectionately refer to simply as Himachali Thapa, superannuated on June 30, 1962, after attaining the well-deserved rank of brigadier.